All right, everyone, testing 1, 2, 3. We're going to make sure that we're live everywhere. Of course, there can be technical difficulties. So just give me a minute. Be patient. Some people think that I'm late when I schedule these ahead of time because I got 3 different sites that I'm putting them on. I have to put in all the metadata for each site. Yeah, just a second here. Don't worry, I have my audio muted. I remembered to think of that. We're getting rumbled. Let's see. Come on. Show me the money. Of course, I've got my co-worker next to me. She's taking a nap, though. What else is new? I didn't manage to get to a stream yesterday. Too tired and too much to do. Today, I figured, well, it's quite a bit of funny news to talk about. And of course, the French election is today. If you happen to be in France, please go vote for Le Pen. That is important. I'll get into my thoughts on that, though, in a moment. And mainly, this is Super Chats. Of course, this is the Sunday show. But I'm just trying to make sure that Rumble is live. Yeah, okay, Rumble is live. No problem. Hello to everyone on Rumble and on Twitch, as well as on YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things first, and then we'll get to Super Chats, of course, as usual. First, the French election. Of course, today is the day. The people of France are going to vote for whether they want more lockdownerism, more neoliberal globalism, and more warmongering, actually, under Macron, or whether they want a very flawed, ultimately economically leftoid individual named Le Pen, who nonetheless at least expresses, there's an attempt there to care about the French people. I encourage all French citizens to vote for Le Pen. However, do I expect Le Pen to win? We'll cover that first. No. It would be a surprise to me if Le Pen were to win the election. Shenanigans, honk-honking, number one. Number two, the fact is that Le Pen's voting base is much younger than Macron's. She rules the roost with regards to everyone under 55. Macron rules the roost with the older generations. The problem that we see in many cultures is that older people, people on pensions and stuff, they have more time to go vote. Basically, you have people in college have the time to go vote, but they often don't because they're moronic. And people that are much older, they have the time to vote, and they do because they've got nothing else to do, really. They'll make a day of it. They'll go vote, and then they'll have their wine and American cigarette in France, of course. And so I would expect, unfortunately, that Macron will win the French election. It'll probably be closer than the last time around. And in the next one, he could easily be unseated. But everyone should vote for Le Pen anyway. To rip away the mandate, to take a situation in which he has a fairly large plurality of support and make it a very small margin of support, I think in and of itself is a victory, especially for Le Pen, who, of course, she's young enough, she can run again. I think that she'll be able to do that. Then we got to talk about Madison Cawthorn. This was the main video of the day, by the way, of course. Madison Cawthorn on a cruise ship, dressing in lingerie, while obviously inebriated, with multiple women around him. I think 3 of them, actually. So he had a good night. First and foremost, and this was something that several other people mentioned to me, it appears that that was part of some sort of contestant show on this cruise line called The Quest. So it may have been just literally, he wasn't even inebriated enough to wear the lampshade on his head. He was just dressed up because there was a show going on. I don't even care, though. He did nothing illegal. He did nothing immoral. All he did was get inebriated, and then he put a bra on. Happens to the best of us. So I don't care. People say, well, hypocritical evangelical. Okay. He is not a religious evangelical. He is a televangelical style Christian that is using that for vote purposes. I can see through him on that. And while I may fault him for that, I'm not going to fault him for having a few beers. I literally don't give a shit. So yeah, In the French election, I would expect Le Pen will not win, unfortunately, even though she's definitely better than Macron. And that comes with reservations, of course. Le Pen is more isolationist than me, and definitely more left on the economic spectrum. She wants more handouts than Macron does. Macron, in the economic sense, I hate to go with the line that's fed by the globalists. Technically speaking, economically, he is a centrist. Le Pen is further left than he is. That being said, if one person appears to give a damn about the basic premise of having national sovereignty, and the other person, Macron in this case, obviously does not, you have to take away, you have to vote your conscience at that point. So we'll get to some super chats here in a minute here. We can talk about other news as well, but this is mainly the Super Chat show, actually. I will be responding, by the way, to people on both Twitch and on Rumble, even though most of the Super Chats, of course, they come through YouTube. The Arcadian 300. Good morning, Daddy Styx. You heard about the bill in Quebec making our children the property of the state. All parental decisions can be overturned by the provincial government. More and more common these days, especially in Canada. Which unfortunately has been completely cut to Chinification. You're becoming more like China, and people, if they don't like it, they should move out. They should leave Canada. There's no reason to live in that kind of climate anyway, unless you have at least a sane government and a sane economy, and I don't think Canada has either these days. The Styxhexen baby, 12 days old, and I already can't stand lefties. I have a feeling you're the toolbox dude. You can't fool me. Inquisitor Jack. Congratulations on Twiggy's arrival. Your proposed Herd Smollett Act sounds an awfully lot like what those MRA and MGTOWs have been arguing for. Worse, it's supported by Deuteronomy 19. Who are you? Misogyny. Who hurt you? Yes, actually, the MRAs do have a point with regards to false claims in the legal sense. And I've admitted that and said that for years. I don't support MGTOW and the idea of men just basically dicking around. Basically, I guess at that point, you might as well just hire prostitutes. And I can't imagine looking at most of these people, they're getting a date anyway. So I think that's part of the problem. That being said, within the legal system, yes, there is systemic discrimination against men. We can quantify it. We can see it quite clearly. Shaker Silver, turnout looks depressed in Paris. Bad for Macron. Don't read too much into it. I wouldn't be enthusiastic to cast my ballot in the election anyway, because imagine that your choices are this. Macron has done the lockdown shuffle, beaten people in the streets, jailed people for minor infractions. He's a nut. He's also a pervert. That's one side, and economically, at least, a corporate centrist. And then you have Le Pen. Le Pen is much better on the sovereignty issue, on the shall we have a civilization issue, but she's far left. Le Pen is not far right. Economically speaking, she's more of a leftoid than Macron. I don't envy the French, the vote that they have to hold. I would endorse Le Pen, though. I would say that since Macron clearly does not work, try something different. If Le Pen doesn't work, down the road, look for something else. That's what I would say. Inquisitor Jack. I did one of those cruise ship scavenger hunts and wound up wearing a bra as well. Can attest it is a thing, and it was an adults-only event. Well, that's good to know. That puts him head and heels above most Democrats. They would have the bra on a 12-year-old. Lord Clay, can we get a dual commentary with you and Razorfist? That would be fucking awesome. I will be trying to get him aboard for the 2022 midterms. I will try to do that. He was on board with the last midterms, and it was fun. He was the first guest. I had as well, Mark Collette, Brittany Venti. I had Ray Vahi on there. Of course, the CEO of BitChute. You should be following me there. I had on, I had several other people. I had 6 total guests. I can't remember them all because, fucking long time ago. I'm showing my age here. I would like to have 4 to 6 guests again, especially now that I can split my screen. When I'm using StreamYard, of course, I can have a live map that shows all the races and maybe even commentary and stuff, as long as it's muted. Copyright tends not to be an issue on one side, and then we can be talking on the other. So I've become more sophisticated. I've come into the 2010s. I realize it's 2020 now, but, Jesus, give me a break. By the way, my hair is not cooperating today. I don't know what the fuck I did to it. Enclaving Backwater. Thoughts on the significance of the Greek Nyx? If U.S. paleoconservatives ever got disenchanted by Christianity, very unlikely. I can see Nyx getting a lot of attention in the neo-pagan sense of things. I think a lot of neo-pagans just like Odin. They like the idea of the Norse pantheon in the general sense, Odin and Thor and Hestia and so forth. That's Greek, sorry. I can't remember the equivalent in Norse. I think that's a lot about what it's about. I prefer the Greek and Roman pantheon actually to the Norse one. A lot of people, like when I was criticizing the lunar celebration that passes for Easter among most Christian groups, people were talking as though I was talking about Easter and paganing it up with the Norse. They're posting Varg memes. I think Varg, by the way, got himself banned again on Twitter, which is not a huge surprise since he's openly antagonistic towards everyone around him. Josh, would you vote for Senator Stephen Armstrong? I have no clue who that is. So maybe I'd have to know the platform and the backstory, of course. Stephen 13, Styx, I live in Florida. I'm worried about the governor's race. I want DeSantis to win, but I'm very scared about the Democrats winning and destroying Florida. Don't be too worried. The chances of DeSantis losing are very, very small. Christ is a chucklehead. Nikki Fried is somehow worse. She won't get the primary nomination. I think it'll be Christ. DeSantis has, I believe, a near double-digit advantage. All you have to do is turn out to vote and get a few other people to do that, and I think it'll be fine. I don't see any warning signs going off in Florida. Florida's moving away from the Dems, partially because of the communism support among the Democratic Party. When Bernie Sanders endorsed Fidel Castro, it alienated 100,000 plus Cuban voters within Florida. That's the reason why there was so much bigger a gap. And keep in mind, over the last couple of years, that gap has gotten wider. Hispanic voters are now going against the Democratic Party at large numbers. You may see a 50-50 split or nearly so among Hispanic voters. If that happens, the Democrats will have a massive ass breakdown. The Republicans will run roughshod over them, and they'll have to do another Clinton moment. They'll have to catch up with the paradigm. Rain Man. Hi, Styx, a bit off topic here, but do you think the world would become a better place if politicians did DMT? Depends on which politician did the DMT. Most of them probably wouldn't get much out of it. They wouldn't get any wisdom. They would just say, I saw weird shit. I saw floating mushrooms and elves, man. And that would be it. And they already use cocaine and drink heavily and smoke weed and all of these other things, so doesn't seem to have given him any particular amount of wisdom. Cliff Hamrick, do you think the Vril Society and the Maria Orsic were real or just part of a post-war mythology? I can't find any sources that are older than the 1960s. The Vril Society was real. Study Theosophy if you want to understand where the Nazi occultists were coming from. It was a direct takeoff of American and British occultism, actually, from decades before. The Volkish pagan movements were suppressed, and they instituted a civic movement, which was very political in nature, unfortunately. The movement of individualism, of improving oneself, of branching out into spirituality, understanding one's culture and history, was replaced with blind worship for the state, with tyranny, with authoritarianism. Hitler was a leftist. James Reed, have you been paying attention to the Partygate in the UK? If so, what's your opinion? And do you think Boris should go? Do you mean the one where they were partying during the lockdowns and they didn't have masks or anything and they were just drinking and, doing the typical British thing? I don't hold it against them. They're very intelligent. They realized there was no threat, and so they went and partied. They just decided other people shouldn't be able to do the same. As far as Boris going, Boris Johnson should go. But what are you going to replace him with? The Labour Party? That's even more gung-ho for lockdowns? The Lib Dems? What are you going to replace him with? It's a tale of the lesser of all evils with regards to British politics. I envy them even less than the French. The French have a choice. In Britain, you don't even have a choice. They're all crazy. It's lime time. Juice of 1 lime in cold water. It's all you need for your voice and for remaining sane. Le Pen for the win, says Mitch DC on Rumble. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gung-ho for Le Pen. Macron's worse, but that doesn't make Le Pen good. It just makes her less bad. It really is. I hate to say it, but in France, I don't envy you your vote. I would say vote Le Pen anyway. Get egg on the face of the establishment. Make a ruckus. Be French. Make a scene about it. Give us something to talk about. Even if there's no change, okay, well then years later you'll get a chance to change it out again, and Le Pen would fall by the wayside. You can't go worse than Macron, though, especially for your economy. Westfield 90. We'll never see a 50-50 Hispanic split. Dems will just continue importing more poor and uneducated who will need their handouts. Yes, but you've got to understand most of those people cannot vote. They are illegally in the country. You have to be a citizen in order to cast a ballot. You can't even cast a ballot as a resident. It takes years and years to get through that process. It's expensive. If you just want to be in the country and take the low-wage job, that's easy. The Democrats will speed you across the border. They'll bus you to some small community in the U.S., and you'll just disappear into the woodwork. But you're not voting, not legally, at least. You will see, I think that within the next, I think by 2024, you might see a 50-50 split. It might even go in favor of the Republicans based on, again, economic issues and social issues, too. The ID poll is rubbing Hispanics the wrong way, I think, if I had to guess. Sebastian Monroe, how's fatherhood? Is there occult topics from it? There's lots of folk medicine with regards to like childhood diseases and stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot that relates to, parenthood. It's going well. You get a little bit less sleep, but it's a price to pay. It's nice to have a baby. Rickety Split. What do you think of the famous freelance photojournalist Frank West? He's covered wars, I have no clue who that is either. Yes, Isaac DeZormo has a good point that illegals are potentially counted in the census. That is definitely true. But that doesn't have to do with voting. That has to do with districting. It has to do with the number of representatives. You need an awful lot of people to migrate to the same state in order to particularly affect that. And just because they do, because they're not voting, of course, if the demographics are moving in the other direction as regards to citizens that are voting, I hate to tell you this, but it would be anti-left. Imagine that you get 2 or 3 extra representatives, but those districts, even when redrawn, tend to lean to the right. You've just given the Republicans more weight in the representatives. Stephen 13, economic left, the corporations are woke anyway. Yeah, I know that, but Le Pen does believe in more welfare and handouts and stuff like that. She just wants to limit it to the French. It sounds sort of like a Richard Spencer. Well, yeah, I'm basically Bernie Sanders. I'm just, I believe it should be based on race. And I don't agree with that. I think that it should be based on civics, number 1. There don't need to be handouts, number 2. You're incentivizing people to come illegally. The border should be closed effectively. That's what I believe for the U.S. and for Europe, by that matter. Europe doesn't need to take a bunch of refugees. I can understand the plight of the Ukrainians and so forth. And in the case of the Syrian civil war, of course, some of the European nations were partially responsible for it. I don't mind if they move to France, ironically enough, running bombing raids in North Africa and so forth. That being said, there need to be limits on these things. People have the right of association too. Governments don't, corporations don't, people do. Inquisitor Jack, I quit dating when Maryland passed red flag. Do not see any chance that legal reform happening. Should I give up? My current plan is to move and try again. I'm anti-hookup. I just want a family. Yes, I vote. Well, you can go to a state where the red flag thing is not a thing, or find someone who pretty obviously is not going to do that to you. Make sure that you know them very well before you go beyond basic dating. Or hire a good lawyer, Frank Drebin, nothing special to say except for a late congrats on the family. Thank you very much. Yes, and Ajay Eisman has a question. Hey, Styx, why is your merch shop down? That has been down for months. I do not currently have a merch manager. I'm considering just using fucking Redbubble or something. I don't want any cheap Chinese crap or anything like that, but I keep, this is the third time that I've gone through a merch management individual or team, and they've sketched out. It's not like they don't get paid. If something sells, they're getting their cut. So I'm kind of just saying fuck it for the moment. I've got bigger fish to fry. I've got books to do, including a bunch of political books. My editing work is almost done. I will be doing some political and satirical material thereafter. I'm figuring through June or July, there won't be editing going on. After that, that'll pick back up. That's the main source of my income. Merch has never gotten anywhere near that. There are plenty of people who want a Styxhexenhammer mug, but it's a lot of hassle. As opposed to making books, I sit there, I edit the book, I pop it online. That's it. It's a lot easier. Josh, the Northman movie is triggering lefties. Yeah, I heard about that. Apparently, it's very, very, it's historically accurate with regards to Viking culture. So a lot of violence in the wanton manner, and a lot of weird shit that Vikings spiritually were involved in. And apparently there are people on the left that don't like that. They don't like history because it always argues against them. PWN Tang, ever seen American movie? You just look just like him. Never heard of it. Facking Redbubble, just use me for God's sake. The ever-present changing usernames. Go over to a Rumble for a second here. People pointing out that illegals do vote. Yes, there is illegal voting in all states. What we have to ask ourselves is there enough of it to swing a major election? In most states, the answer is no, because in most of the states, like 42, 43 of the states, the outcome is pretty much predetermined. They will go either Republican or Democrat. The same is true of senators, where you have the state vote, millions of people potentially, depending on the state. And also for congressional districts. If they're not competitive, you already know what the outcome basically is going to be. What I would worry about is definitely the miscounting of the census. I think the border should be closed, and only people that are legally in the country should be in the country. That being said, my worry about that does not extend to, oh my God, that's going to throw the election. Most of the states that are potentially in play for 2024 have defortified or are in the process of defortifying, including Florida, by the way. I'm not worried about that. Call me overly optimistic if you want, but I think that things will be a little bit different the next time around than they were in 2020. Teresa Logue Meeks, will Falsey ever give it up? No, he's basically, it's his retirement fund. He's going to keep giving interviews and stuff like that. Inquisitor Jack, Maryland has it set to non-spouses can red flag, so dating is sufficient. A lawyer doesn't help if I don't know the ex parte order is happening. I can't safely vet a potential wife here. Going to move. Well, then you move. If that's on your mind. It's not the most unwise decision you could make. And anyway, I mean, there are plenty of people in the world, not all in Maryland anyway. You're in Maryland. You're in a high tax state that's anti-gun anyway, regardless of the red flag laws. Of course you should move. Crab legs aside, just go a little bit south to Virginia. Go to Pennsylvania. go to the Free State Project in New Hampshire and become a total ass libertarian. Probably be better. Karmasaur. Hi from Sapporo. Oh, in Japan, I believe. Grats on your baby. Have you considered being on Nick Rekida's show? He mentioned wanting you on. Cheers and keep clanking. Yes, that was brought up to me, I think, a couple of months ago. I'm definitely willing to go on, but he has to DM me on Twitter. That's my main form of contact. If you can get him to DM me, of course I would. But it would be after at least a few more weeks, because, of course, I've got a newborn baby. So right now I can't do anything. Like I did a really short bit part a few days ago as an interview, but that's basically the only thing that I've done so far this year. I've got too many other things to do. Gray Fox Acid on Twitch. Are you related to Asmongold? No, I am not. Although I do get the reference. Dagnabbit007 on Rumble says, just stop telling people you have firearms. Yeah, I mean, you could just hide your guns. No, I don't have any guns. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm anti-gun. Hillary 2024. Yeah, you could lie about that sort of thing if you wanted to. But you shouldn't have to go through the struggle. And anyway, if you're with someone who's anti-gun, fucking get rid of them. Break up with them. Egbert Boot Whistle. Hey, Styx, just bought my first house. It is a condo and a bicep of Cape Cod for $225K. How much of an idiot am I? Doesn't sound bad. Have to show me that house. I'm going to come over and I'm going to demand deviled eggs and salad. Inquisitor Jack. Thanks, Styx. It's just been a very frustrating situation. I'm working towards finding a new job. I'm an electrical engineer, so should be fine. Yeah, I mean, if you're in electrical engineering right now, you're better off than most of those effete college kids with their English degrees. Yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but you should move. Everyone should move out of Maryland. There shouldn't be a person there. There's no purpose to the state existing. Westfield 90. Sadly, Le Pen will not win. The average voter is... Oh, jump down. Too woke and won't vote for a candidate who will protect their culture, borders, and values. Ah, you are wrong, grasshopper. For the average person under 50 supports Le Pen. In poll after poll, the young, they support Le Pen and the vaguely leftist populism. Older people are the ones that like Macron. That's why I think I agree with you. Le Pen is unlikely to win. It's possible, but it's unlikely because older voters turn out at larger numbers. So basically, the elderly are holding France back as the young say, hey, we're tired of this. It's not working. Enough is enough. We don't want more warmongering, and we want a new way of doing things. They're all in favor of Le Pen. It's funny because 20 years ago, of course, the old generally they were more right-leaning. They would go in the U.S. They'd go for the Republican Party back when it was like the Bush Party, and the young tended to be much more leftoid or liberal. And while there are plenty of leftoids among the young, I think that the actual ratio is declining. I think that more of them are adopting populism because they realize leftoidism isn't working. Spider Eternal, growing coriander, basil, creeping thyme, and serranos. My neighbors won't garden, but they gave me access to their yards. Stocked up food too, thanks. Make sure to give them some of your crops in return to using their yards. Ty Sloan, thoughts on the game series Metro 2034 and Exodus? It takes place in a post-apocalyptic Russia along with mutants, and you have to survive radiation. Sounds all right. If it's an FPS open world game, I'll look into playing it maybe. If it's like Fallout 4, I'd probably like it, but I haven't played it. I've never heard of it. Jackson Kai, a longtime viewer that rarely catches your streams. Just want to send some well wishes and congratulations on the baby. Thank you very much. That money will go into the diaper fund, obviously. The diaper fund probably get into the 4-figure range. Just so that people are aware, the main cost of babies is really they poop. That's really the cost. They poop and they need food. Orchid Finance, congrats on fatherhood. I found out I'm going to be a dad too. Clank, well, congratulations to you, a fellow clanker, doing their duty biologically. Going to have other mini clankers around. Everyone should go and fornicate, have a bunch of baby clankers. I'll help you raise them. I'll do educational videos on, I don't know, baby topics, I guess. Tambaji Damyo, need advice. You rather live in Japan with a terrible job but fun life, or Canada with really good paying job but boring life surrounded by leftoids? I would rather kill myself. I don't want a regular job. If that terrible job is just I'm a YouTuber but I don't really make much and I just barely scrape by, I'd rather live in Japan. I can get pizza from the vending machine. Good paying job but boring life. If I'm surrounded by leftoids but I'm rich, I can always build a fence. So I don't know, maybe Canada. Japan's got the better climate though. and better food, better people. Shit, I don't know. It depends on the further ramifications of these two situations. Fubar 2020, what's your thoughts on Russia's new Satan II rocket that the United States may not be able to stop it? They've been talking about that for a very, very long time. I think 5-6 years ago, I saw an update on the Satan rocket system. These are, if I remember correctly, they have 8 3-megaton warheads. So these are not city killers. These are potentially nation killers. That much firepower, properly dispersed, would destroy a nation the size of the Netherlands. Are they actually working? I don't know. If they're not, the Russians aren't going to tell you. Star Drankus, happy Orthodox Easter and congrats on the baby. Any thoughts on Greek Orthodoxy? Well, the Orthodox Christians do it better than Protestants and Catholics, so I'll give you that. But I do believe that there are a lot of people that are entertaining Orthodoxy as a meme. They just want to go TradCon mode, and so they found a new potential sub-religion to gravitate towards. The Grizzly. I was listening to Razorfist, and he thinks the Dems are going to lurch even further left in 24. Even with age on the table, if they go extremely left supporting rights, minor attracted persons, CRT and other far left positions, would they even stand a chance against Trump? Would they finally be forced to change their tactics or of going further and go back to center, or would it be too late? If they do that, if they start supporting pedophilia, which openly, at least most mainline Democrats don't do, although the grooming bill that they've got is de facto pedophilia. If they start supporting Marxist revisionism and stuff more openly, it would destroy them. The thing is that that would be the best thing, though. They go far left, they go extremely post-woke, and they get completely crushed. And then the more sane members of the party say, look, it didn't work. Fuck off to all the socialists. They kick the AOCs out of the party, and then they take back control of their party, and they give it some semblance of an actual platform. That would be the best possible scenario. They may not learn from their lesson, though. That's the problem. The leftoids could gain enough astroturf and or grassroots support in enough areas that they subsume the party. They make it basically a Green Party on steroids. It would be basically the Bernie Sanders party. It's possible. And no, they wouldn't stand a chance against Trump. They would get crushed. It doesn't matter what honking goes on in the election. The ratio of votes would be so sheer in so many places. There's nothing that I think they could do about it. Ty Sloan. Thoughts on China's deal with the Solomon Islands and the White House saying they will quickly act? Sounds funny, but too late in my opinion. Nobody cares about the Solomon Islands. Economically, what's the budget involved? China has been doing a lot of deals with a lot of locations around the world. And, they've got one up on Biden. Their president at least isn't demented. Eat Godly. Can I interview you on my own Rumble channel? Yes, if you DM me on Twitter, we can set that up. But keep in mind, again, my schedule right now is very sporadic. I have a newborn child. So things are touch and go for some time to come. Basically for the entire rest of the year. But I promise I will do midterm streaming. Fire down below. Styx, do you think the next crisis is going to be a global famine? There could be some food problems coming. I'll tell you why. Russia supplies an inordinate amount of the fertilizer to the Western world, which is a crazy idea that they're not producing their own fertilizer, but that's the way it is. Fuel prices are rising. When fuel prices rise, the harvester, the plow, the tractor, all of these things cost more to operate. You're going to pay more potentially for food. The agricultural goods, a lot of them get fed to pigs and cows and so forth. That'll cost more as well. A lot of people in the marginal world won't be able to afford as much food. That doesn't necessarily cause famine or direct shortages, but it will cause money issues. The problem is the Western world, in order to counterbalance that, has to subsidize things. It has to throw money at it. That just causes more inflation. That causes the prices to go up even more. You're asking the middle and lower classes of the Western, the developed world, to subsidize third worlders so that they can get their grain. And most people, I think, wouldn't bat an eye at that. They'll be like, well, I can eat one less meal this week, and a whole family in Africa doesn't starve, and I'm generous and stuff. Okay, that's fine, but it will cause economic issues, big time economic issues. Be a big problem. You're going to see a lot of problems over the next year and a half. Most of them will be the fault of the globalists, but they'll blame Trump somehow. Ty Sloan, do you think Disney will pull the gun and bounce out of Florida because of the bill? Also, why is Disney pushing woke stuff in Marvel, Star Wars, and so on? I think that they're full of shit when they say they'll leave Florida. I think they'll fight a court battle, and they'll rely upon the massive amount of money that they have to try to influence politics there in the state. They will be, I believe, unsuccessful. I think DeSantis will win. Ultimately, they will, swallow their pride. They'll go along with it. They'll still bitch about it. But there's not much that they can do. Not against DeSantis, I don't think. Tom McMorrow, fucking Hemingway. Never mind. Congrats on the fresh human. Best to you in the last. And of course, God, fucking speed. Thank you. Robot Trucker, know any good YouTube channels on meditation? There's, look up Acharya Shri. He's one Hindu guru, and not all preachy or messed up like some of them are. That's one. If you want a good guided meditation, I don't necessarily agree with his pro-corporatist social stance, but Mingyur Rinpoche. He has, I think, the most relaxing guided meditation actually on all of YouTube. Yeah, just look up his channel, Mingyur Rinpoche, Mingyur, and then Rinpoche, Rinpoche. He's got a good guided meditation. I've listened to it hundreds of times, actually, because it's so relaxing. He's good at that. A little bit ASMR-ish, I suppose. Navajo Joe 69. Hey, Styx, how bad do you see automation getting in the future? People have been worrying about that for a long time. Semi-automation started happening over 100 years ago. And it put chimney sweeps out of business, mostly. It put people that put the cap on the toothpaste tube out of business. Mostly these people have been able to find other jobs. I'm not worried about automation. I know that the leftoids want to drum it up as a reason we need UBI, but really we don't. It's not necessary. Yeah, and also some people over on Rumble, Mike Hart, I think, is referring to this, talking about food processing plants. Yeah, a bunch of food processing plants have burned down or been damaged in the last week. And people are beginning to think that there might be something up, like it's some sort of war effort. The Russians decide to burn your canning plant or something, or that it's sabotage or something like that. It's the Great Reset. They want you to have less food. While I may not be necessarily amenable to thinking these things, it does seem to be a little bit aberrant. Awful lot of fires at one specific type of industry in a short period of time. We'll have to look into it, clankers. Keep your eyes open over those canning plants, especially the ones that do the canned peas, because I need them for my curried meals. By the way, I make probably the best Indian-style curried peas that you'll ever have. Just saying, I'm getting better at cooking. May not look good, but it tastes amazing. Westfield 90, why is self-destructive wokeism only a disease of the West, UK, US, Canada, AU, but not seen in Asian, Arab, or African nations? Well, it is, increasingly. The counterpart would be Chinese imperialism in East Africa, especially, number one. The multinationalism and the globalism of the Arabic world, led by Saudi Arabia, of course, exporting effectively a globalized version of Islam. It's definitely present in Asia. China is right along with them. They have riots right now in Shanghai and have for weeks. Fubar 2020. About where do you think inflation and gas prices would be if Trump was still president? They would still be higher than they had been before. It would still be bad, but I don't think we'd be approaching double digits on inflation. I don't think gas prices would be nearly as high. I think you could shave 50 cents, maybe even $1 off of them. And that's partially due just to business confidence and deregulation. No further policies, just what he was already doing. He happens to be Donald Trump. People see him as a business magnate. They know that he won't hyper-regulate. And the fact that deregulation occurred. Those were good things. That's, by the way, Trump is the reason we're not in a recession already. We're just getting close to it. By the way, please don't send any more super chats. I'm going to try to get through these last ones, but I do have a million other things to do. For obvious reasons. E.G. Johnson, the Solomon Islands China agreement could involve a Chinese naval base. Biden is reacting. I think China takes these sea lanes for fish, needs protein. They have plenty of fish. They don't need that. They can already bully the Vietnamese in their own territorial waters and do on a daily basis. Yeah, I mean, let China build a fucking naval base. Who cares? One nuke later, the naval base no longer exists. So in a true scenario, it's not a huge advantage. OMG puppies, any thoughts on Madame Blavatsky or Edgar Casey? Best wishes for your family and the new arrival. Edgar Casey, yeah, the one that said that Bimini Road effectively was Atlantis, or predicted that Atlantis would be discovered around the time Bimini Road was discovered. Interesting person. There's still an Edgar Casey society. Madame Blavatsky, I think, while she was exposed in fraud, especially over the mediumship question multiple times, she did have interesting insights. She built a movement that informed occultism and therefore society for 100 years. So she definitely an adept individual, to use their term. Teresa Logue Meeks, Russell Brand has an excellent collection of meditation videos. Styx, you'd enjoy a discussion video with him too. Yeah, I'm not part of the Russell Brand worship cult either. I'm not a huge fan because, I mean, he's a leftoid, basically. He's just a leftoid that doesn't fully support censoring everything under the sun that he disagrees with. Puts him head and shoulders above most of the anti-SJW leftoids. Doc Holliday, who do you think was in the Easter Bunny suit that made D-Man Cha Joe shit his pants? Probably Kamala. The Easter Bunny-ness. Yeah, Mama Babs on Twitch pointing out that he's becoming red pill. There's Russell Brand. Yes, he is seeing the light as he gets older and realizes he was lied to, I guess, for several decades. But I'll believe it when I see it. I want consistency and a track record for an extended period of time. Morgoth XSK, have you ever considered debating the prominent atheist Matt Dillahunty from the show The Atheist Experience? I think you would win due to your vast knowledge of religion and spirituality. Yeah, I could debate an atheist on religious topics sometime. Although I'm anti-religious, so I mean, we'd basically just be debating spiritual systems. Yeah, I could do that. King of Casual over on Rumble asks, the work you published on occult topics, does it cover herbal medicines? Oh, yes, my friend. Definitely it does. Let me get a link for you. I'll put it in over on Rumble for you. This is the herbal, homeopathic, and folk medicine category from my blog spot. So here you go, King of Casual over on Rumble. Go there and have fun. I think there's 40 entries. How many are there? I wonder how many entries are on here. Oh yeah, there's 35, 40, something like that. Not all of them are herbal. Some of them are homeopathic. Like gunpowder is a war remedy. Actually, I was reading my own work on folk medicine the other night. It's one of the few works that I ever wrote that I have a copy of, along with critical race theory, of course. You should get a copy. Interesting subject. My favorite, along with dream interpretation as far as the occult goes. Gene has a question. Rethink flat Earth. I've thought about it, but then I was up in a plane and saw the curvature for myself, so I didn't need to think much further than that. H Rourke 88 over on Rumble. I had a dream Elon Musk had sex with my girlfriend. Mike Hart, can you eat a corpse who died of spike cancer? I wouldn't. Why the fuck would you want to eat a corpse anyway? I'm assuming you mean a human one. Yuck. Just eat fresh meat. You know, go out, kill it yourself, gut it, and roast it on a fire while it's still warm. Maybe you don't even need to roast it. Its own body warmth just cooks the meat. I don't know. Yeah, but just a second here. Yes, Prions by Fuck Beach 007 on Twitter. Yes, Prions is bad. Never eat brain material. Never eat spinal material. Cook the nerves off really well. Otherwise, you know, you might get prematurely demented, shit your pants, and not be able to walk for the last few miserable years of your life. You remember Mad Cow? They were feeding them ground up dead cows, but they didn't remove the brain tissue. Whoops. America floats. This is the last one. Don't send any more super chats here. America floats. Have you felt any serious or fleeting change in sense of self now that you are a successful father? Curious if that's an immediate kick-in or not. Cheers and God bless. Not a huge change because I'm all work all the time, and as the dad, my focus is mainly I need to put bread on the table. But I was doing that anyway. What I would say is when you're present for your child's birth, like when they're physically actually being born, yeah, it's a bit of a rush. It's a weird sensation. I'm not even going to bother trying to describe it fully because it's something you just have to experience for yourself, I think. So yeah, I'm going to go off now. And I had fun here with the Sunday live stream. I'm going to try to get back into the Saturday ones as well. But keep in mind my schedule is a little bit touch and go. So yeah, had fun. Lots and lots of super chats. That's about all. Peace out.